We speak to so many interesting companies and so many investors and healthcare practitioners, and there are very complex solutions sometimes. What's so interesting about the guests we have on today, the founders of Joey-Band, is that it is really low tech. It is basically a baby sling made out of yoga pant material. So it's brilliant and it's easy, and they've been on the market for a number of years and they seem to be having great uptake.
Well, you know what struck me the most is that one of their biggest consumer groups are hospitals. And in the days where hospitals are doing everything possible to cut budgets, that they have found this to be valuable enough to include in their formulary, if you will. Also, when you really think about the lives that could be getting saved right at the beginning of their frontier into life, there really couldn't be anything more valuable. So let's take a listen. Welcome to the Business of the V. Hello, friends and colleagues. I'm Dr. Alyssa Dweck.
And I'm Rachel Braun-Scherl. Each week, we bring you the most fascinating investors, inventors, entrepreneurs, academics, and healthcare practitioners who are making things happen in women's sexual and reproductive health.
If you are a woman, know a woman, have a business, or care about your V health and wellness, fasten your seatbelts and listen in to another informative and inspiring episode.
We are so excited to have our guest today, Haley Mullins, who is the inventor of the Joey-Band, and Sarah Almeza Cox, who is a co-founder of the company that makes Joey-Band. And we cannot wait to hear about the journey. We have not spoken to anybody about a product like this before, so we're particularly excited. So why don't you just kick it off and tell us what the product is, and then what were the set of experiences or the aha moment that led you to create it?
Absolutely. So Joey-Band is designed for skin-to-skin infant fall prevention and breastfeeding support. It's used right across the continuum of care, from the operating room to the NICU, postpartum, all the way through to home. But where the product really came from was, one of those horrific parenting moments that nobody thinks they're going to have, but we've actually come to realize is much more common than anybody knew. So my daughter was born, she's 10 now, and immediately after birth, she was placed skin to skin. No clue the science behind it. Nothing that I know now. I just knew that it kept her quiet and happy. So she, 2 weeks to the day she was born, she's asleep on my chest. It's this beautiful moment. And I took my hands off of her for a split second to text my sister. And in that moment, she startled and hit the floor. My husband and I, first-time parents, panicked, went to the emergency room, and the doctor looked at us and said, "This happens all the time." And it actually does happen at a rate of about 1 in 660 births in hospital. The infant will experience a fall. And of course, we can get into that in more detail later. But I just knew I didn't want it to happen to me again. So went home, bought every product on the market: wraps, carriers, slings, baby wearing shirts. And while they're all amazing products, nothing did what I wanted it to do, which was to literally strap her to my chest as she slept. So borrowed my mother-in-law's sewing machine, created the very first prototype with only one break in the machine, and approached my sister, Ashley Wade, our third co-founder, to bring it to life. And we went to my friend who's a patent agent, said, does this exist anywhere? And she helped us do a worldwide search. She's like, "No, it doesn't. You need to do it." So brought this product to life. And within weeks of launching our website, we had an email from La Leche League International saying they had found our product. They're going to put it in their next book. And that same week, we had an email from a NICU nurse in Toronto saying, "We've been looking for something like this. Give me more information." So right then, we really realized that we were onto something in this healthcare space. And of course, as a new parent, had no idea the prevalence of falls and the importance of skin to skin, only to learn, now years later, what a big deal skin to skin is and the consequences that can come from it.
Wow, that is a lot to
Seriously.
unpack. So first and foremost, I trust that your baby was fine because this is, of course, every parent's nightmare. So thankfully, it sounds like everything turned out okay and then some. My initial reaction when I started to read about the Joey band was, how does the surgeon allow you to use this immediately on the operating room table? Because Lord knows we can't have anything in there that's not fully sterile, but I assume it's after the delivery, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, so do you mind if I take that one?
Yeah,
Mary? Yeah, so because the Joey band goes above the sterile field, it's a non-sterile product, and so a lot of hospitals, particularly in the U.S., California, has the mandate for this, but they're all focused on baby-friendly initiatives and getting that designation. So looking at things like exclusive breastfeeding rates. And so what's really great is we know in C-section patients and C-section mothers, the percentage that make it to exclusive breastfeeding longer term is much smaller than the percentage for mothers who give birth vaginally. And so there's been this huge push to get to have a gentle C-section is what they're calling it. And so part of that is getting the baby on mom. And so they're putting the baby on mom in the OR already, which is actually a bit clunky and a bit uncomfortable. Sometimes, it's hard depending, we know there's not a lot of real estate where the C-section rate comes up so high. And so sometimes, and quite often there's a care team that's standing around that baby, making sure that baby is secure on mom. And it includes the anesthesiologist, it includes a nurse, and, whoever, maybe a dad or partner or whoever is up around the mom's head. And so really Joey band was just such a natural fit to introduce, particularly in the C-section. Originally, we kind of had our eye on postpartum and NICU, just seeing because it supports up to, singletons, twins, and triplets. So it's such a natural fit for
Wow.
NICU for so many ways. But it was actually the clinical community that we work with, the nurses who, when we first started working with hospitals, were like, this needs to be in the OR. And so what's really great is it helps with safe transfer, because once baby is on mom's chest, wrapped in the Joey band, there's some great data from an Ivy League hospital in California. 75% of their mothers were breastfeeding in the Joey band directly on the OR table. They were getting up to an hour of uninterrupted skin to skin, which is huge for C-section patients. And so, but then once that baby's wrapped in, they can be transferred right over to the stretcher and then just roll into recovery. And so it's also safe transfer, which is really great. So it's kind of a natural fit.
The other thing that came to mind, of course, is, we all hear the difficult stories about babies who are in bed with mom and dad, or mom, or, taking a nap or whatnot, and, difficulties that can arise out of that situation. Is there a place for Joey band and in the home for that reason? Or is it still recommended to always, put the baby to sleep in its own situation?
Yeah, we don't recommend co-sleeping with it unless there's somebody there to observe you. We just know that baby is safest if you're asleep. Baby is safest in a safe sleep environment as well.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to make that clear because I didn't think that had changed over time.
So where are you? I mean, it's a brilliant idea. And obviously your initial response was from the kind of people that you'd want to see it from. And it sounds like there's clinical support. So where are you with the product development, manufacture, distribution?
Go ahead, Hale. This is your world.
So we are in hospitals all across North America, as well as some international locations. We have been in market now for 9 years, and we have some really amazing data. But we're in some of the top hospitals, the number one NICUs, Ivy League hospitals, and the data that we're collecting from these hospitals is just amazing. Everything from increased breastfeeding, reduced or eliminated falls, improved patient satisfaction. We've got some really great studies happening now that focus on, bonding in the 4th trimester, as well as hypothermia and hypoglycemia. I mean, the data that's coming out of this product is it's unbelievable.
Wow.
One of the things to further answer your question, though, is one of the things that I love is that it's manufactured directly in Canada. So we're based in Canada. Majority, we focus primarily on the US. We have fantastic distribution partner in Canada, Mother's Choice, and they work with hospitals across Canada. But everything is made within North America, and that was something that we were really proud of when we looked at, when Haley and I first started working through this, and Haley was like, no, it needs to be, made here. We need to make sure the quality of the product is high. We're bringing jobs, and locally, our environmental footprint is low. It was a really great opportunity to give back to the community too. So
I have a question about that. You're in all these hospitals, which is totally amazing. Who pays for it? Does the hospital pay for it? Does the mother pay for it? Where does the money change hands? Because that's often what people are worried about in hospitals. We all know, like every other part of healthcare, are being squeezed. So where does that happen? Where does the money come from?
I'm guessing this is not insurance covered, at least not yet, but will be when all your studies are done.
Your guess is so right. So currently it's hospitals that are covering. And so when Haley just mentioned a lot of the data that's collected, we're huge fans when hospitals collect data because they share it with us and it helps us build what we call this healthcare economic story. So we can really follow the patient journey. We know not only the cost savings, the benefit, but driving, clinical outcomes as well. And so that really allows the hospital to work internally to justify to bring the product in. So they currently foot the bill. We actively are working we have some really fantastic partners in the insurance space that we're working with, that we're, really making sure that we have all the right data. And then we'll be, hopefully the dream, Alyssa, to your point, is to have insurance cover it. And then we also do have a website where patients can purchase it directly should they choose.
Right. And what about the flexible spending accounts and things of that nature? Would this be a covered commodity?
The goal, that's the goal. We would love for it to be included there. Absolutely.
So here's today's hot flash. Newborns are dropped in hospitals during delivery much more commonly than reported. The United States is fairly quiet as far as this statistic goes, but it seems that reports from the UK show there's a drop rate of 50 babies per day during delivery. So this is the question that's burning me right now is, do men wear this? Because, skin to skin is skin to skin, whether that's slightly hairier skin or not so much. And I just wonder because, we see dads walking around all the time with the snugglies, et cetera, on the outside. So I just wonder if they've taken to this as well.
They sure have. It's so funny because dads, when we were doing, consumer trade shows, it's dads on the floor that are like running over because it's something that they can participate in. So many products out there are designed for mom and baby only. And we have this product that's inclusive for everybody. And the importance of skin to skin, 30 minutes of uninterrupted skin to skin with dad that first day of baby's life actually rewires his brain to bond to baby. So, they can hear those cries and have a better sense of, what the baby wants. There's no more excuses on why they're not getting up in the middle of the night. that was specifically for my husband. But
I'm sure it wasn't just for your husband, not even just for the husbands represented on this call.
No, I know that they can hear the baby. Once they've done skin to skin, that they're in tune to those cries as well. But no,
it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's dad's love, and it's important.
The other place too. Oh, sorry, just to share, because we were so thrilled in terms of adaptive parents who would need adaptive parenting styles. So patients who are also physically disabled or have ALS, or whether they're in a wheelchair or not, it truly is because of the simplicity and the design that Haley invented. It's perfect for parents who may have a physical disability as well.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Haley, what is the material of the product? In other words, is it as simple as it sounds, even though it probably is technically complicated?
Well, it's a yoga pant material. What does every new mom live to? And this product was designed very much with what what I wanted, but knowing that, most new moms would feel the same in terms of that soft, stretchy, breathable material. The color, we're offering it in black because we know that, it hides soiling. It's moisture wicking, it dries quickly. So it is yoga pant material. It's that soft, athletic material. And it's got a Velcro closure. So what it is it's like a bandage, almost a bandage shape, and then it wraps around and secures with Velcro around the chest because, in the operating room, in the NICU, in any hospital setting, really, you want something quick and easy. You want something that can be removed quickly in an emergency. But also when you're at home and you've got a crying baby, you want something that you can get on quickly and calm that baby, because babies held skin to skin cry 12 times less than babies that are not skin to skin.
Where have you been all my life?
Well, it really follows the old swaddling that, I don't want to date myself, but really, truly that.
I think that for us, that horse is out of the barn, so to speak.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. But, the swaddling techniques no longer need to be so perfect with a device like this.
So I'm curious, Alyssa, because we always bring it back to what you see in your office. I mean, you must see a lot of really anxious postpartum moms, whether they have postpartum or they're just in the time period right after they delivered. Do you often hear about this anxiety around, I dropped the baby's slippery, whatever the things, I remember trying to make sure that my baby would live in between pediatrician appointments for my first kid. That was my goal, to keep them alive week after week, because you really don't know what you're doing.
I think new parents are very, very anxious. When I was, doing obstetrics, which I haven't done for now a couple of years, moms were anxious, dads were anxious about everything and anything, but dropping a baby is certainly one of those things. And I brought up the issue about sleeping with baby for a reason, because this is, obviously an issue of big concern to our pediatricians and our parents alike. But to that point, do you work with a group of advisors in the obstetrical world, or doulas or midwives, or how did you, really perfect the product and also, get the proper medical guidance that was necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really wonderful group that surrounds us, from lactation to nurses, to obstetrics, to doulas, to midwives, to lactation. And we, for those first few years, every manufacturing run, we would adjust the product based on feedback. Our guidelines, our clinical guidelines in hospital, written by nurses, everything has really been created, developed, and perfected with the help of clinicians. Because this product came from a place as a mother, and I don't have that healthcare background, but we really have leaned into that community, and they've been amazing and embraced it really well.
I would imagine. And so it sounds like you've had multiple iterations, which I love hearing that, because it really just means that the feedback is so valuable to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a great product roadmap too, some future ideas to be continued. But yes, big product roadmap as well.
At this point, is your business primarily to hospitals, or is there a good chunk of it to direct to consumers? I know you offer both options, but where have you seen the most traction?
Yeah, so I think so our vision really aligned with changing that standard of care for skin to skin. I think we saw the impact that it would have on, one family, one child, the health outcomes that were affiliated with it. And so we've always really focused in on hospitals. There seemed to be a really natural energy that flowed with hospitals when you look at statistics around infant falls happening in hospital, and you look at the need for something like this in hospital, and most of the education, when families first start out, it starts in hospital. It's where they teach you to do some really important things. And so that was something that we were always really really passionate about. We have a fantastic partner on the retail side that we work with. And then we still do support, because part of us is allowing consumers, i.e. patients, to take their own healthcare into their own hands. And so if your hospital doesn't have this, we want to empower you to be able to bring it in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How much education are you providing, both, on the website, I guess, mainly for consumers, but also about a fairly scary subject? How are you managing that education for your consumers?
So each product comes with its own insert card that has, not only how to use it, but also that safety checklist. What is the position that baby should be in skin to skin? It's not just put them on your chest and we're all set. It's, that they've got to be high enough that you can just dip your head down and kiss them. Their face has to be uncovered, the chin off the chest, their back is supported, and that their airway is open and uncovered. So we include that. We have visuals, we have videos, quick videos on how to put it on, but again, how your baby should be positioned. Because really the safety of the product comes down to proper positioning. Your baby's going to be positioned differently for skin to skin in the Joey Band than your baby would be if you were wrapping them in a carrier or a sling, to be up and mobile and walking around. So that's our big focus, on the consumer side. Keep it simple, but keep it clear, because it's important. And then on the hospital side, we are really training the trainers. We're teaching the nurses how to make sure that your patients go home with this product safely, and continue to practice safety while doing skin to skin through that 4th trimester and beyond. So we have a full program in place for hospitals, and then the consumer piece, we're keeping it simple and clear.
I also really appreciated your blogs on the website. I mean, they're just very much to the point and seem super well vetted. So that's great.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they're looking for Joey Band and they hear this and they say, gotta have it? Or they work in a hospital and they want to make sure their hospitals carry it. There just seem to be so many different ways in to find new users.
Absolutely. Yeah. So joeyband.com is the best place for both. We do have our hospital information on there, and then they would reach out, clinicians would reach out directly if they're interested. We do have, volume discounts and special offers for hospitals. So we would ask them to reach out directly, and consumers can get their own package right on our website.
Okay,
Wow.
so I'm going to ask the pressing question. Where did you come up with the name? Because you did say that it was your daughter who had this issue. Now, I know names are kind of ubiquitous these days and anything goes, but I'm guessing that was not her name.
No, a Joey is a baby kangaroo. So it's for kangaroo care. So the Joey Band for kangaroo care.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, of course, we're dying to find out what's coming down the pike. Are you free to share, or is it still double secret probation with that?
It's still double secret, but hopefully sharing very soon. I would say within 6 months or so, which would be great.
Fantastic.
And I do have another question, because this is sort of on the minds of, all the entrepreneurs who are listening. How did you build this business from a financial perspective? Was it bootstrapped? Did you do an angel round? Where are you now? Have you built this without ever having to take an institutional dollar?
So I was just going to say, we were, because it's not a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly what we're seeing in women's health and really coming into market are a lot of tech solutions, like high tech solutions, which is great, where they need engineers, they need developers. So that type of business model requires a high upfront cost. You need to be able to pay your employees, and do the build and data storage and all of that stuff. Because we were in a unique position where the product was less tech, could be made locally, we were able to be a little bit more resourceful with how we went about this. And so we made a conscious decision not to take external funding, just because we would be able to be in control of our business a little bit more. There's not to say that there's trade-offs with both decisions. You figure out what works best. But what worked best for Haley, Ashley, and I was to make sure that we had that, that control and could scale as we wanted to.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us, and for the work you do and the amazing impact you're having. And I love what you said. It's low tech, but big impact.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Have a great night, and we'll be watching you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so
And
much.
thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast at businessofthev.com for the latest trends and trendsetters in women's health and business.